here. This morning call is a combination of urine therapy Q&A and urine therapy or Shivambhu lifestyles.
Good.
So we're going to find out what makes people's lifestyles work for them, so we can share the suggestions with the viewers who will watch the replay of this video. And anybody's allowed to pitch any kind of questions this way. We haven't started yet.
Are you going to release the record? Sorry to interrupt, Brother Sage, but are you going to release the recording?
Yes, it will be published on YouTube for the temporary.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
And then what I'll do is I'll post a link on my social media pages.
Right.
So as people start coming in, we're a little bit early. You're invited to bring some of your water with you because we're going to do our communion.
Well, I've just finished mine.
The night is young, brother. More may come through. If you have a bladder that matters, it will communicate with you when the time's right. And
I'm on tea at the moment.
That's okay. You might switch from T to P. Who knows? So when we get into the Q&A and then we go into the lifestyle, I brought a couple of props for the people who are already doing protocols. You already know what these things are. Test user is in the house. So we're going to wait another 5 minutes. Test user, where are you calling in from?
Can you hear me? Santa Fe?
Santa Fe, New Mexico. Welcome. Yeah. You're just 2 states over from Colorado.
Well, 1 state over.
1 state over. See, I got to get out more.
Yeah, you're up in Boulder, right?
I'm in Boulder, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of folks in Santa Fe and Boulder, back and forth. Yeah.
Okay, there's a route going back and forth.
I'm in the UK.
Welcome, UK. Had a lovely talk with the UK sister last night. Because of the work I do and the books that were written through me, I end up having consultations with people all over the world. I got a client coming up this afternoon from Australia. And I'm very excited about the folks who have either read the book, studied the courses, really dug deep into this path and this journey, who have embraced the message and the importance to the lives of humanity, who have decided to go public with it. They're either advocates, writers, talk show hosts, etc., and they're willing to not keep it a secret. So kudos to those folks right now.
Yeah.
So let's do a prayer. I've got a prayer right here. Get your water. Time as we know it is all made up. So we're going to do this in the eternal now space. We're not going to deal with constructs. All right, this was the first. Hi, whoever you are, Ross H. Hi, Ross. So have you guys heard of this book?
I've got it. Oh, can I grab mine?
Go ahead.
Hi, Ross.
Hello.
Hi, Ross.
Hi there.
Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
We're going to do Q&A on urine therapy as well as discuss everyone's Shivambhu lifestyle. That's the handbook.
Oh.
This was the original. That one came out this year. No, yeah, last year. This one came out in 2018.
Got that.
But in either case, we're going to do the prayer together on page X1V. Ah, 8 hours. It was a good year. All right.
Yeah, help.
Oh, hold on. We're going to get there. Save some. Don't drink it all yet. I know you've got discipline. So you guys are familiar with the call or response that people do during kirtan?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read and then you'll repeat and then we'll guzzle. Here we go. This is called the Sacred Water Prayer from Native Americans. You ready?
Yep.
I take this water of life.
I take this water of life.
I declare it the water of light.
I declare it the water of light.
As I bring this water within this body,
As I bring this water within this body,
it allows me to glow.
it allows me to glow.
I take this water of light.
I take this water of light.
I declare it the water of God.
I declare it the water of God.
I am the master of all that I do and all that I am.
I'm the master of all that I do and all that I am.
So be it.
So be it.
To your health.
Live long and prosper. So this is how we're going to do this course. You guys have time for an hour or so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really course, it's just ways that we can share our experiences, our insights, our testimonials, our whatevers with the viewers who are either coming on anytime now or watch this replay. As I said to Colin earlier, Ross, this will be uploaded onto YouTube later today or tomorrow.
Right. Great.
So the link will be available on my YouTube channel. Let me just throw that out there so you guys know what the heck, where that is.
You're going to put it on your Telegram channel as well?
Yeah, I can do that.
Please, thank you.
And you know that, you're talking about any particular Telegram group? You're talking about
Urotherapy.
this one?
Yes.
All right. By the way, you see this slogan? Is it backwards?
So, what? Backwards?
Is it backwards or can you read it easily?
No, we can read it. Fine. Perfect.
All right. This used to be similar to milk does the body good. Remember that slogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they changed the campaign in 2003 and they don't use it anymore. So it became public domain. I grabbed the copyright on it and changed the wording. Now I own this copyright. You're in there, does the body good. So you guys have my blessings to put this on anything and get it out there. So does anybody want to toss a question out about anything? If not, I'll throw a couple of questions your way.
Well, I've got a few questions. They'll probably lead to other things because I'm sort of fairly new to this. I'm only in for just under where I go, October, November, December, nearly 4 months.
Okay.
I've heard that it's better to use aged urine for eyes and skin. First of all, is that true?
I love the aged versus fresh conversation.
Yeah, and the second part of that is what is aged?
Okay, let's go number 2, and then we'll go back to number 1. Aged. Yeah. Now, people in this water family movement have different terms for aged. In all my books and writings, I call it evolving Orin or evolving Shivambhu, because like us, its nature is to gain in nutrients and stem cells and antibodies and life force and its potential. So I call it evolving. Some people call it maturing. Some people call it fermenting. Call it whatever you want. But and the point of measurement, people ask, well, when is aged urine? And you have to understand that this is an intuitive medicine. This is one of the pearls of wisdom. It's intuitive medicine. According to John W. Armstrong, who wrote the book Water of Life back in 1944, he came up with a measurement of 4 days. That's what he considered aged or maturing. Some people say months. Dr. Roz Hansen out in California says it's 9 months because she wants to relate it to gestation. To me, it's any time it's been sitting out for a while. It's aged urine.
Okay.
Okay.
And does the age, does the extent of the age have an improving benefit in any way?
Yeah, and
yeah.
You mean other than just nutritional benefits? Or therapeutic?
What I'm saying, is it like a wine in that the longer you keep a fine wine, the more beneficial it'll be?
Yes.
But what do you use it for? Or is that
Yes.
drink it or rub it into your skin, whatever?
Well, there's approximately 26 protocols, and these are the topical protocols. It can be anything from massage to foot soaks, enemas, eye rinses, ear rinses, nose drinking, the whole shebang. All right, they're in all my books, so you can learn the protocols.
But
But
better get your book. Yeah.
there's, and let me just do it. Let me do some shameless promotion. All right. This one came out in 2018. This one came out in 2020. This is the textbook for all the courses I've been teaching. The manual for urine therapy teachers and therapists. All right, this one came out in 2020 on 2/22/22. No, this came out in 22, 2/22/22, The Secrets of Youthing. It was originally written in 1994 by my mentor, Leonard Orr, but it went out of print and he passed away. So his wife said, bring it back. So I've added some new information and content. It's now The Secrets of Youthing. Okay, and my new book, which is being released on 1/23/23, is The Pisscabulary of Urine-isms.
Oh.
It's a pistastic book and you will be happy you read it. It's coming out on Monday. And that was designed to help people lighten up about a so-called controversial conversation. Okay, so aged versus fresh is going to be intuitive the whole way. There are people that rather use the aged on their external body and up their nose and in their mouth and in their enemas because of the potency, because of, its potential. Some people, they have an issue putting it in their eyes because there's a sting for 3 seconds before it goes neutral. So they don't want to have a sting in their eyes. So they'll either dilute it with fresh or distilled water. So it's a matter of personal choice, what you want to use or what you have available. Ultimately, which is another one of the pearls of wisdom, is that Shivambhu, you familiar with that word?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shivambhu is a universal panacea, which means it's going to work regardless of your considerations. It's going to work whether you use a man's, a woman's, a child, an adult, someone from a different race, your dog, your cat, your goat, your camel. It's going to work regardless. Well, the guys who drink the cow urine, they figured it out long before we figured out we had our own water right here. So, and the other thing, which is part of the pearls of wisdom, if you'll remind me, I'll send you the Shivambhu wisdom chart, which is a lovely reminder. One of the other principles about Shivambhu is that it alchemizes, sterilizes, and neutralizes anything it touches. Nothing can contaminate it. So whether you cover your jar or not, whether you gargle with it to get rid of bad bacteria or not, swallow it because it neutralizes and raises the vibration of whatever it touches. Which is great for the people who say, well, I won't bathe in my city water because of all the crap in the city water. I said, dude, just pee in your tub, neutralize it. And, more and more people in this, when we talk to in the water family, they're coming out publicly and go, well, I pee in my tub. Doesn't everybody? You see, Ross, this is how relaxed we are. We got nothing to hide. We all do this.
I know, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So any other questions about the aged fresh?
Is age, well, again, I suppose, is aged better for any particular? I'm thinking more of eyes. I mean, I've only ever used this, well, I say aged. I did, when I started, I sort of had a bottle and it was, it's beautiful golden color, but it's gone sort of darker and less translucent, and that to me, I thought, well, all right, is that really going to be good? But I didn't try it. I bunged it because I knew I could get some more. So probably a mistake to have got rid of it. It was about 3 months old by that stage.
Next time you have that wild urge, throw it in your plants.
Oh.
Put it out in the garden because they like the potassium, the nitrogen, and all the goodies in there.
All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so as it gets darker, the only thing that's wrong with it is our thoughts associated with it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, I had a chance to, we were in the hospital because one of our dear teachers, Dr. Vijay Gupta, ends up having a respiratory challenge, right? So he gets weak. They take him to the hospital, right? And little did we know, without them consulting, I know I'll get in a rant here once in a while, but without telling his wife, who has medical authority over his wife. Now, these guys have been urine therapy users since 1984. They gave him 3 shots of remdesivir. We went in, unbeknownst to the nurses, and we're giving him massages in urine. We're feeding him. We're putting him everywhere we can. His wife brought out her 13-year-old urine. It was dark, and I drank it, and it tasted like freaking soy sauce. It was, but that was because her diet wasn't that good. Well, how the story ended up is the remdesivir killed him. Every time we brought him home, he started to improve, but some glitch, they decided to pull him back to the hospital, and that's what killed him. And his wife should be suing him by now, the hospital.
Wow.
Anyway, so urine therapy can heal anything. The only thing urine therapy cannot heal, you know what that is?
Stupidity.
Bingo. The only thing you can't heal is what you believe you can't heal. The word incurable, if you break it apart, means incurable. It means you're able to cure from within.
Okay.
All right. Any more aged fresh question? Does that make sense to you? Because to make it simple for you, Colin, there's no dogma in this journey.
No, right.
Okay. Well, there are related questions, unless anyone else has got another question that they would
Yeah,
like to.
I have a comment about the aged versus fresh thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, so in my experience, because as you keep saying, Brother Sage, it's a intuitive medicine, which I've deeply found to be true.
Mhm.
There are times when, for the same application for me, aged is what I need, and other times fresh is what I need.
Mhm.
So like, there's not even any dogma for an individual at a certain time. A different one might be the right one. And also what I'm thinking is that eventually, in the long run, as this whole thing develops and develops, rather than this aged versus fresh controversy, there'll be like gradations. Like
Yep.
there's many more categories. Like
There are.
there's newly aged, there's there's all different categories within that. And that's why Armstrong said 4 days is aged, and other people are saying it's like 9 months. And I think there's like every nuance within this is going to be coming out.
There is, and each generation discovers new ways to use the water.
Right.
So once again, you're following your intuition that came up with that when to use when, fresh versus aged at any particular time.
Right.
It's not so much you read it in a book or you needed proof from somebody.
No, and I've even like been convinced for a short amount of time that like aged or fresh is right for this. And then like the teaching of the Shivambhu turns me around and tells me, oh, you got stuck on that little bit of dogma for yourself. That's not even true for you anymore. And then I have to change it.
Right. The other thing, I'd love to get some input from you guys, more and more people have been guided toward dietary cleanups. Because we are so enslaved by the food on our planet, and we are food slaves, and we have rules, obligations, we have punishment, fear, all kinds of stuff around food, reward, blah, blah. The folks that take a break and fast, and I'd love to talk to you about urine fasting, how powerful it is. They're moving more toward raw foods and fruitarianism because their body is not craving these things. And more people are throwing away supplements. I haven't bought supplements in about 10 years, and it's so refreshing to hear other people going, my body provides my pharmacy, and my health food store is in my bladder. So it does simplify our lives. Anybody else notice that? What kind of changes are happening in the areas of your life that matter, like health?
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Ross, is your lifestyle pretty simple?
Yes, it's really, I've been on it for 6 months now, coming out on the 25th. And I'm not quite sure what to attribute it to. I used to be amazed that I couldn't get rid of sugar cravings. And then I started diatomaceous earth. I thought it was that. Maybe it was the Shivambhu because it was pretty much at the same time that I changed that. And I have lost all my sugar sweet cravings, which is such a liberation because it was no effort. I didn't even intend. I was slightly fed up with me once a week binging, and then I noticed it's gone, and I didn't really need any willpower for that, which was amazing. That when you're talking about supplements, I have reduced them a lot. The one thing that I seem to need, and I think I know what to do about that. I think I need to do a Shivambhu fast. Yes, that too. But I had an energy issue, and I found amino acids as a powder, which was like an instant energizer. That is something I still take because I don't eat any meat. And I thought sometimes, oh God, do I need to eat meat for that? Amino acids were missing for me. Now, if I do a fast, and I've seen your Zen cleanse thing, I haven't got the money for that at the moment. I'm very tempted to do that. But I think Orin fast is for me the way to go. And then I think my body will produce everything much more obviously what I need. So for me, the big thing to look for is the energy, which I'm still seem to need from the amino acid powder. Sorry, little speech.
No problem. Everybody has a chance to take the stage and share what they have to. There are ways that urine therapy works, and there are ways it doesn't work. People ask, well, will it help in this condition and that condition and that condition? I say yes and no. Unless people work on all 4 pillars of their health, and I'm from the 70s as a holistic practitioner, we've got to balance mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. If you're just dealing with the body and the physicality, third dimensional stuff, you're just dealing with what you eat or the supplementation, but you're not working out unexpressed emotions, old traumas and pains held in your cells and in your body, limiting negative or self-hatred thoughts, not enough spiritual time with the sacred, all these things can slow it down.
Right. Hey, Brother Sage, I have a comment about the supplement thing you brought up.
Yes, please.
Good time for that.
Sure it is.
My take on it is a little different, with all due respect. In the Dharma Tantra.
Dhamma Tantra, yes.
Sorry, pardon my Vedic.
That's okay.
And I know we shouldn't slavishly follow these old texts that we're creating it new and all that, but still, it's an inspiration. And what I found interesting about it when I actually finally read it, which just takes a few minutes, it's rather short, is that a majority of it actually is about using supplements with Shivambhu. I mean, he just goes into, Shiva just goes into all the different Ayurvedic herbs, many of which are available today, and even metals that they use then. So what he's talking about is the equivalent of going down to the local health food store and buying supplements for that time, 5,000 years ago, to take with our Shivambhu. So my take on it is, even though I understand the necessity of simplifying the message of Shivambhu, of like, we just need the urine, I think that the Orin is a potentiator, and I don't want to give up taking herbs that I resonate with. And I actually think the power in the Shivambhu is that it actually awakens our intuition more and more to know what to take and what not to take.
Right.
And that's been my journey with it, is I'm taking a lot less, but I think that the Shivambhu it's like a teacher herb that's telling me what actually I should take. And so the idea of giving up everything and only doing Shivambhu it's not been my experience as a something I want to do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I really recognize for people that are going through transitions. And I know I understand sometimes I talk about absolute ways of living and being. And that happens in between the times that you're not eating. That happens in between the time you're not even thinking about it. This is how we tap into peace and we tap into bliss when we're not even thinking about it. But there are times when you go, I really could use some extra here in this area and that area to tweak it. And those will change over the years.
Right.
Like what you needed a month ago, a year ago, you may not need a couple of weeks from now.
Right. Right.
Now, the fasting, if you've ever done any Orin fasting, it is an incredible experience all unto itself, because when you're not spending time thinking about collecting food, preparing food, serving food, eating food, washing up after the eat, thinking about what you're going to have later on that day or the next day. When you're fasting, you have a time to go deeper within yourself and see what's fleshing out. Ross, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wonder if I could add something. That was what I spent a year in India and with a yoga teacher, and he put me on lots of water fasts, long water fasts. And instead of meditating on God, I was meditating on food until, yeah, I mean, he occasionally used to go to a wedding and tell me to eat anything I liked. Then I was sick. And then he told me to drink some of my own wee. And the one time that really sticks in the mind was when we were going to go on a 4-hour bus journey afterwards. And I was so sick, I couldn't see myself doing that. So I did go and drink my own wee. And I felt fine within minutes. So when later on, I mean, it wasn't always uninterrupted fast, but he just didn't give me any food. And looked at me, and I learned a lot from that. But when I was feeling hungry then, and with that memory, I started drinking my own wee in India. And I realized I wasn't hungry during the fast. So that was a mega insight. Not that I carried that through over the decades, but so then when I started on the 25th of July, I started with a pretty much a fast for a few days and then fruit. In that fasting period, I felt so energized because I expected to be feeling weak, but I felt no hunger, obviously. I've never been into water fast after my experience in India. So I'm so glad to have Orin now, because that is the answer for me. No hunger pangs. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing another one now very soon.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, on when you're fasting, I mean, every time I fast, I get a lot of projects done. I get to put in my 3, 4, 5 mile hikes during the day, work on clients, answer calls, blah, blah. And somewhere around 5, 6 in the afternoon, it dawns on me, I not only didn't eat anything, I wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
And what you're learning when you're fasting is discipline. You know, if you feel like eating, eat. If you don't feel like eating, don't eat, but don't make it where it owns you or runs you.
Yeah, I've got a question about the fasting, Brother Sage, since
Yes.
you brought up about doing all those projects. So years ago, I did a water fast, a 3-week water fast when I was quite a while ago, when I was young and foolish. And I thought that I was under the impression that within a few days I would pass through the stage of being hungry and being tired, and I'd feel great and have all this energy, because that's what some people were saying. But basically for 3 weeks, I felt like what a 103-year-old man must feel like, sitting on a rocking chair. I had no energy. I mean, it was a spiritual experience, but it wasn't an experience like people describe where they get their energy. And I mean, I felt like a very old man. And and also, I'm sure I lost a lot of muscle mass doing water fasting. And so since then, I've only done intermittent fasting because it's more moderate. You don't lose muscle, you don't use muscle mass, etc. Now I'm interested in doing Orin fasting. And what I'm curious about, since I'm sure you've worked with thousands of people, many thousands of people doing fasting on Shivambhu, do people lose muscle mass doing Orin fasting, and also, like you said, do people generally feel like they could do a lot of the same stuff they do in their lives, that it's very different than water fasting that way? What's your take on
Great
that?
question. It's case by case. I
Okay.
can't give you a blanket statement. There are people lose a little muscle mass. There are some people who aren't hungry and have the energy. There's some people who go through a major detox because they hadn't done any cleansing up to that fast. So it's going to vary from person to person and where their system and their body's at the time.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask this muscle mass thing? I have lost muscle mass in the last 6 months. And so I'm not quite clear on that, how to regain that, because I have been doing less exercise than I used to.
Mhm.
And for me, there is some connection with the amino acids and exercise that I might regain it, but I mean, I'd love your feedback on that more with muscle mass.
Interesting. Go ahead. Anybody want to weigh in on it?
No, I've just noticed that well, I haven't been eating as much over the last 3 or 4 months.
And I'm down some days down to one. I only do 2 meals a day anyway. I do intermittent fasting until about any time from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I can keep going, or if I've forgotten to eat, I then just have one meal around about sort of 6 o'clock or something. So, but, and I have lost, I mean, it's to an, I don't know, it's only an age thing, but it's certainly since I've been drinking my own urine. Yeah. I've noticed that I'm not as strong as I was.
Have you noticed, well, there's Willie coming back. Have you noticed that your determination and your motivation for doing things good for you has changed at all? You still have the same drive for life and enthusiasm for life as you always have?
That rather depends. I mean, over the last couple of years, well, I've always got an enthusiasm because I'm just so interested in life on this planet and what's going on. And I am curious and I need answers. And I have projects which I want to do or something I want to discover. But sometimes there's just, once I've finished doing that sort of project, for example, I'm probably a bit worried that why haven't I got another project going? I'm probably just having a rest.
Yeah.
So yes, I have been through, particularly during the COVID period, I have been through periods of a lack of enthusiasm. But it's there in the background waiting to be picked up, if I can put it that way.
Okay. Real quick question, Willie. Do you have 2 accounts open at once here? You got your name on 2 windows.
Yeah, I started off on the computer, but I don't have a webcam, so I changed over to my telephone.
Okay, so the one you're using is the one you want to keep?
Yeah, and the other one can go away.
All right, done.
Thank you. I was trying to find it myself, but I couldn't do it.
All right, there's Anne Marie coming in. I don't know where she's located, but Ross, I want to make a comment about this weight loss, muscle loss thingamajig here. Anne Marie, welcome to our call. Good to see you.
Thanks.
So there are guys on this planet that are doing long-term fasting. There are guys, I don't mean it's not a gender thing. There's guys on this planet that are breatharians, whether you believe them or not. And a lot of these guys, like Chris Manley, I don't know if you heard of him, Chris Manley, he does a lot of bodybuilding. He doesn't eat hardly at all, and he's fit as ever. And so how can we explain that these guys are working out. They've got the strength to work out. They're not losing any muscle mass, and they're not consuming food. So what's the common denominator?
Your mental.
Hey, Sage, brother
Yeah.
Sage, could
Yes.
you post a link to that guy you just mentioned? Could you post that on Shivambhu Hut? If
Yeah,
we
go to
want-
his,
What's that?
if you go, I put him in the chat. If you go to
Okay.
Instagram, you'll find him there.
Okay.
He goes by the handle Christo.
Okay.
If not, reach out to me.
Okay.
directly.
I would reckon that, I don't know that it answers your question, but certainly I found that when I got into ketosis,
Yes.
I gave up all sugar. I got into ketosis and I've never had so much energy in my life.
Mhm.
And that was while I was doing, I've only ever done a 3-day fast, but I wanted to sort of run up and down mountains.
And how was your strength at that time?
How's my,
Your strength during that time? You felt like it, but were you able to pull it off?
oh yeah. But I mean, this only lasted for about 2 or 3 weeks, probably. Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's switch channels really quick. I want to talk about how to heal brain disorders, mental issues, whether it's ADD, whether it's bipolar, whether it's dementia, autism, whether it's depression, or even addiction. All these seem to be affected by gut health or lack of gut health. And so the people, I mean, this is going to do all kinds of things here. When you get all the mucoid plaque and fatty deposits and toxic material, parasites, whatever, out of your small intestines, your elimination organs, it cleans up the passageway up to the brain, the blood, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people have reported not only did these issues stop affecting them, they no longer had these mental disorders, their addictions were gone. And it changed a whole lot of things in their life because they didn't have the chemical imbalances in the brain.
Right. Well, you know, my take on why people get so drawn to Shivambhu, like immediately, like all of us that are doing this, it's like you do it and you don't want to stop. I'd say more than anything, we feel good. Like we immediately feel good. And, you know, one of the greatest arguments for UT is like millions and millions of people around the globe wouldn't be doing it just based on a placebo effect that they think it's good for them. I mean, who the hell would want to do this thing based on theory? People are doing it because we feel great. And there's all different versions of feeling great, but like feeling great is feeling great. So we're going to keep doing it. And I think that's the ultimate like mental health aspect and spiritual aspect of this is like all these other details pale compared to like, wow, this feels great. And even on those mornings when the Shivambhu doesn't taste quite so good, because I mean, I eat meat. I eat a healthy but very varied diet. And sometimes it's a bit gnarly, but I can't not drink it. And it's not just in my head. I'm not forcing myself to drink it. It wants to be drunk. And that's like the ultimate spiritual mental health benefit of it, I believe.
Yeah, so we're going to get to you, Ross, in just a minute. So you and I would say everybody here has been called to this water, and you answered it. I know Anne-Marie was called to the water. She's involved with this. And the people have embraced this, and we're going to talk about lifestyle here in the other half here. The people have embraced it. They have built it into their practice, and they look forward to it because they've got a line of communication going on. Some of you know that the body came with a blueprint or the divine design of what perfect cells are. what perfection is in the body. Whether you believe it, it's not a good idea to call yourself perfect, but the body knows how to create new cells, regenerate the cells. And so it does that by identifying those compromises are anything that's affect the body, and creates the answers, the remedies, the antidotes, and throws it in your medicine for you. Ross, back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking that because my first experience, it was in India, like over 35 years ago. So I rediscovered it really in July last year, and it was from reading about it, you know, Dr. Group and your things online. And but for me, I was going through a phase where I realized that everything, I had a healthy diet, I felt I was making, you know, discerning choices, but everything that I was actually eating didn't feel like it had any nourishment. I went through a phase, and even the market, all the organic stuff, and I felt this isn't giving me what I need. This is all crap. I need to make a big change. And then when I intuitively came to it, and then I understood also that, yeah, I was very worried about the water quality and it not being pure, and then realizing this is the body distilling my own water, and I don't have to buy, I can't buy a distiller at the moment, and I'm realizing. And then these stories about people surviving, you know, if you don't have water, or you're on the ships, and when they're buried in rubble in an earthquake, and you have this, your body is producing this for you. That was before I knew all the goodness that was in it, you know, but just realizing I have this with me. If I switch off the water, I can keep going for a long time on my own recycled, distilled, high quality golden water. And I was so thrilled. I was elated. There was a time when I'm in a group that Colin knows me. I was talking to everyone. They must have thought I was crazy. I was so over the top excited about this, also mentally having solved all these issues about sovereignty all in one go. And
This is sovereignty. This is sovereignty. Sovereignty,
yes,
right? In a jar.
exactly. That's it. So then the feel-good factor added to it, and the sugar craving disappearing. So, I mean, where does it end? There's more to come. I know I need to just get more into it, do more.
Just go into it, read books, take videos, go to my YouTube channel. The rabbit hole doesn't end. But here, I want to give you a reminder that might bring you a little comfort and peace of mind. If they decide to do some terrible things with our food supply on planet Earth, and for some reason you haven't taken the time to identify plants in the wild, lamb's quarter, sorrel, chicory, dandelion, if you can cup your hands and pee, you can thrive on this planet. Does that simplify it? You don't even have to have a bowl. If you can get this basic, you can live.
Right.
The rest is just all the things that we like to have and we need to have or we choose to have. But ultimately, your survival is not based on the outer things of the outer.
So amazing, isn't it? Isn't that enough to keep you going? It's amazing. I mean, you're making me remember the times when I got this click and I thought, wow, this is it, you know?
This is it. Yeah, we are the guys that are tipping the tipping point. We're the folks that have already moved. We've calculated there's 800 million plus people in 50 countries practicing urine therapy.
Really?
And so I would say that we've already crossed the tipping point. There is more people, big name celebrities and personalities and naturopaths and doctors that are becoming more outspoken, like Dr. Group and Dr. Gabriel Cousins, and a whole lot of people are getting in behind this because they can't not talk about it.
Yeah.
And how this is exploding, and I'll get to you in just a minute here, Willie, how this has caused to break free into the collective consciousness is all the whistleblowing and all the truth telling and all the freedom fighters that are wanting to put a light on all the dark areas in our world and our establishment. Well, we knew that about the Rockefellers in 1917. You might know this. 1917, these lovely characters called the Rockefellers established the Rockefeller Foundation with the sole purpose of controlling the healthcare system worldwide, controlled by them. Well, so they tried to demonize and propagandize and push all the alternative medical practices and therapists away from the public's understanding, you know, kind of like get rid of the competition. Well, they couldn't keep something, they couldn't squelch urine therapy because of its 5,000-year history and the fact that indigenous people have anchored it on this planet.
Yeah.
And so more and more people going, I remember being in mom's belly, drinking my pee. I'm starting to feel comfortable. You talking about it in my presence. Peeing in my bathtub is not so weird. I mean, all these things are starting to make sense to people.
Right. You know, on that account, I've actually wondered if part of the incredible bliss people experience from drinking Shivambhu is if we're actually having, by being that the last time we ever had urine in us and over us and around us was when we were in utero, if we're actually having fetal memories of bliss, like subconsciously, that we're not maybe visualizing it, but we're getting those feelings back because that was the last time we had that experience.
Yes, let's go to Willie and then ask me to teach you about saturation dosing. Willie, take it.
Yeah. Okay. You just were talking about when the shit hits the fan, you only drink the Shivambhu, but don't you need to drink water as well to get the Shivambhu going, or?
Well, that's personal choice. Shivambhu is water.
Okay, but so your body has got enough Shivambhu in you to drink Shivambhu only.
Well, let me see if I can put this in a simpler way. And some of the guys on the screen already figured out. It's an intuitive water. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. If you're gaining what you need and you're hydrated from just the Shivambhu, or you start adding distilled water and it does what you want it to do, then go with that.
Okay.
Now, people have been examining all the waters over the last many years, and they're trying to determine which is the most alive, living water. They try to pin it on purified water and this kind of water and that kind of water. And then here comes along in 2012 was Andrew Norton Webber. You heard of him?
Yeah.
All right, Andrew Norton Webber says, well, there's only the best water on the planet is the distilled water. And there are 4 sources of distilled water: Shivambhu, fruit, rainwater, glacial water. Yeah. And then there were people who were coming on social media and saying, well, what about deionized water? Is that supposed to be good water? I said, let's make it really simple. If you look under the water, a water drop under great magnification, under a microscope, and you see crystalline structure, is considered structured water. We have pictures of our urine being zoomed in at 550 times magnification, and you can see this floating around the internet. Fiona from California, she's showing us that. And so I asked the guy who was pitching about deionized water, let's see your structure. He couldn't come up with anything. Did you have something to add to that, Willie? I might have gone off on a tangent.
Yeah, I had the same question, Willie.
Okay.
I found that I was trying to get through about 2 liters a day of distilled water. And now I'm hardly pouring any. Yeah.
And here's another thing. Nobody's yet to determine what dehydration really means. I mean, according to what I studied, hydration is plump cells. Cells that have a lot of moisture and water to it. And that affects all the organs and your whole structure. And so dehydration is one of those things that it's different for everybody. Some people just drink a couple of liters a day and they feel fine.
I've noticed that when I drink enough water, say 2.5 liters distilled, my pee in the morning is better than when I don't.
Yeah. So it's good that you can determine that, you can measure that.
Yeah.
What's your diet like these days, Willie?
I'm mainly vegetarian. I do often eat some fish and chicken, but I don't eat any red meat.
Okay.
Loads of vegetables, fruit, not that much, but vegetables, yes.
Okay, so when you're eating the fish, are you eating it with a salad or some kind of greens?
Yeah. I'm eating fish and chicken with my evening meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ross, this leads me back to the concept that thought is creative and our thoughts are determining our reality and our experience. A gentleman who's in the water family approached me, and some of you might have heard of this guy. He approached me about 6 months ago. He says he's doing the best he's ever done on his health and his diet, not just doing urine, but he eats raw meat. And he claims that's his secret to success is raw meat and urine. And I'm going, congratulations. I'm glad he can do that. See what I'm saying? His thought is creative. He has somehow aligned that to work for him. And there is a lot of people say that doesn't work for them. So what's the common denominator? There's more than meets the eyes.
Mhm.
And here's iPhone Louise, who's coming in from somewhere. Anne Marie, you feel like chatting with us?
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your Shivambhu lifestyle and any suggestions you would like to offer viewers who will watch this when it's over.
Oh boy. So I've been drinking morning urine and doing a lot of foot baths. So I do foot baths about probably 3 or 4 times a week. And that's been seemingly really helpful. And then I rub urine twice a day on myself. So those are some of the practices that I've incorporated the most frequently.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm going to show you guys some of the basics and protocol Shivambhu supplies. You probably already have these things, but I'm just going to throw them out so you can see that. If this is kind of like a basic. All right, eye cups, either glass or plastic. This is glass. So you're going to use them on one eye, blink, 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 hold it there for 30 seconds, a minute or two, switch eyes, same thing. And when you're done with the urine, pour it over your cornea, pour it over your eye when you're done. And then just wipe the rest on your face. That's an eye cup. If you got,
Can I say that that has really helped me a lot. I used to have dry eyes and it helps immediately. And then if I do that in the evening, it keeps them lubricated and until the morning. It feels fantastic. And while I'm talking, I want to say that my whole sinus issue, I used to have not real sinusitis, but uncomfortable and not clear sinuses. And I started doing the Shivambhu drinking through the nose.
yes.
Pretty early on.
The screen, you'll get a breeze through here. It's a nice breeze coming through.
Sorry. And
That's okay.
within, I can't remember, quite quickly, I resolved all my sinus issues, and it is now such a delight to breathe, which I really haven't known for probably 20 years.
Have you had to give up any mucus forming food in order to achieve that?
Did I eliminate that? Yeah, I mean, I did eliminate things. Yes, I did eliminate certain. I had cheese in the beginning, but probably only a week because it tastes so awful when you eat cheese.
Right.
And
The mucus forming foods are dairy and meat and fried
Yeah.
food. And for some people, it's grains and carbohydrates. And with that out of the equation, then you're not going to get the snot pouring out of your nose and your eyes and all these other things. The other question is, when you're doing the eye cups, are you using eye cups, right?
Yeah.
All right. Have you noticed that? And the people who are dealing with mucus noticed that mucus was coming out of their brain. So they had this crust under their eyelids and on their eyebrows. And when they're doing the eye cup and changing their diet, they don't have that.
oh,
I mean, extreme example of that was Dr. Sebi out in Jamaica. He was doing Orin fasting and he went blind for 3 days. Well, he kept putting Orin over his eyes. Eventually, his eyesight came back and it was better than ever. And he discovered it was mucus coming out of his brain.
Wow.
So even if you've been a purist, raw this and that, but you didn't clean up from, incorrect eating your whole life, that stuff's still stored in there somewhere. And
That's
that's something that folks need to know when they jump on this path, that there's some house cleaning to do.
Mm.
So when people have major detox and they blame it on the urine, I'd say you need to look at what else you're doing in your life. Don't blame it on the teacher.
I find I've drifted away from cooked food more than anything. I mean, I had eliminated wheat and stuff before.
Mhm.
So I did have a little cheese that at the same time as starting Shivambhu, but the cooked food, I lost interest. It's funny how you adjust. You don't know if it's just the flavor. It's more than that. Your body just realizes that it doesn't want it. I have memories of nice tasting cooked food, but I'm not actually going for it. My life, I have more time on my hands now. Very nice too.
Do you remember, Ross, or anybody here, do you remember as a child or watching children, you put something on a plate, put it on the table, and how many times did they just leave it in their mouth? They're giving it the rundown, they're checking it out, and if it doesn't meet their pleasure taste buds, they spit it out. They intuitively know, I don't care what you're telling me, this is good or bad. It don't feel good. I'm spitting it out. And we're getting more discerning.
Yeah.
On this path. So here's a couple of things that we want to have. And if you already have them, cool. If not, cotton balls, cotton pads, right? Anytime you have a cut, a scratch, a skin tag, a liver spot, sunburn, these guys work wonders. These are also terrific if you're doing belly button soaks. You guys already know about that? You do a navel soak. It's in my last 2 books. You just simply saturate this with the Orin, stick it in your belly button and lay down for 30 minutes to an hour and let it slow drip into the 72,000 veins that are still inside your navel. So it's another way to travel the pathway into the blood, through the belly button. And a lot of people use this because they're stressed out. It's a great way to like nourish your core, your center. The same with belly rubs. Willie?
Yeah, I've never used the cotton balls for the belly. I just drop it in.
That works.
Yep. But that's a good tip. I'm going to use that as well. I'll do eye wash and nose wash. I've got some horn. A horn for the nose. I do my ear.
Are you talking about a neti pot?
No, the other one. No. Shall I get mine? No.
What do you pour? What do you use for the ears?
I'll get it. One moment.
Have you guys ever seen these? These are a great invention. It's just a little spray bottle with a spray tip. This holds an ounce or 2 ounces. Oh, that's a neti pot. Yeah. It's a different design.
Okay. Yeah, that's more for flowers.
Yes. And so use it for ears, right? Great. Well, what I was showing everybody, Willie, is this. This is all right. What's cool about this is that you get a straight shot right up the nose. And why
I use a syringe.
The syringe is fine. The plastic one.
Yep.
So what people are looking to achieve is rehydration of the cells, all 5 cavities of the cells. We also want to decalcify the pineal gland. And so there's a direct pathway that you can't access by drinking it and having the urine go down the torso. So people are finding their headaches are clearing up, their brain is coming online. I carry one in the car, one in my backpack, and one in my house. So wherever I'm at, if your brain gets sluggish, you can't seem to track, your energy starts to dip, couple snorts on each nostril, you're good.
Does that go higher up than if you're just like snorting?
Well,
Or-
it's got more pressure, and some people can just snort it up the hand, and some people got really good, thanks to Samuel Cohen, is they can drink it out of a cup or a water bottle. But you got to work on using these muscles, kind of like when you got to learn how to sing, you got to use the throat muscle. There's one behind here.
Wow.
The other thing is good to have is one of these. This is a soft silicone bulb. You usually find this in a kids section at the health store or at the pharmacy, and it holds about 2 or 3 ounces. You can either use this for getting urine up the nose, in the ears, or an implant in the bum.
Right.
And the lifesaver of all lifesavers that everybody's got to have, our buddy, our lover, the enema bag. Talking about intimacy, enemas, pretty close to home, isn't it? So whether you use fresh or whether you used evolved or whether you add hot water and do it as a homeopathic diluted version, these will save you from a lot of illnesses that are misdiagnosed because of constipation.
Yeah, I do mostly coffee enemas, half and half with urine, almost every day.
Okay, so doing that every day, has that been mostly beneficial? Has it been something that you're going to constantly do? Have you noticed something different every day?
Different. Yeah, I found that the mucoid plaque has been coming off more from doing that in my intestines. So I find these really funky strips of things more often, which started a couple months ago after doing a liver cleanse. And I feel like the enemas and the urine up the backside help to keep that going. So.
Okay. So those are the things I would always have on hand, including the foot tub, a 2-gallon, like a Tupperware soft plastic tub. If you guys got one of those, some people actually use the Pyrex baking dish that they can put both their feet in. The reason you do a foot soak, and you already know this, Ross, you do a foot soak because it stimulates all the reflexology points in the soles of the feet, and the bottoms of the feet have the widest pores and opening in the skin surface across the body, so you get maximum urine going into the bloodstream. And for folks that are stressed out, foot soaks work wonders because of certain ingredients like melatonin, serotonin, oxytocin, magnesium, B vitamins, DHEA. These are well known for helping the nervous system and the brain. So soaking your feet in it will give you a chance to relax from all that stress.
Can I ask a question about the enema?
Yes.
I do them like 2-3 times a week only. So it varies. But the retention, how important is that? I don't often do retention. Is there a big difference in effect?
No. You want to hold it as long as you can. Some people, there's no need to hold it. If you're at the point of evacuating, then you better get by that toilet. And you'll find these young yogi 25-year-olds, these 20-something-year-old folks, they're putting it upside their bum. They're doing headstands. I'm going, wait a minute, find me the bathroom.
Yeah.
So it's up to you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about your experience with the ears. I was experimenting with putting urine in my ears, and I remembered like when I was a kid and I'd go in a swimming pool with that awful chlorinated water that's just disgusting.
Yep.
And yet if you go swimming, you're getting it all in your ears. I mean, you feel it in your ears for a few days after that. So, and I didn't die from that, even though it was chlorinated water. So I thought, hey, if I'm going to use urine, so I actually put a large amount of urine in my ears, and just as an experiment. But I found it was maybe too much, and for a day or two, there was stuff sloshing around in there. But I was hoping to cure a tinnitus kind of thing. And so this is a work in progress. I'm still experimenting. Just curious about your experience with that, of like, do you just put a few drops in your ear? Do you saturate your ears? What do you do? What's your experience?
Well, actually, I've done both. I've done with the syringe
Right.
or the other thing, or I've used just droppers.
Right.
And just, this is my 3-year-old, and use droppers of it. And just, I would hold it in place as long as I felt like it, and then turn my head, and most of it would pour out. If it stays in there, it's only going to be medicinal. It's not going to hurt you.
Right. Right.
It just feels uncomfortable. It feels awkward.
Right. There could be a little bit of like a positive healing reaction as it's in the ears for a day or two, sloshing around.
Right. It's the same with people who do a 3-ounce implant up the bum and they
Right.
leave it in overnight.
Right.
That's still in the mucosa. That's still being delivered into the bloodstream.
Right. Right.
Here, you
right.
might have it start coming down the eustachian tube, you know, and working in that way. But tinnitus, some people say tinnitus is a result of EMF, 5G, and some other electronic interruptions in our frequency.
Right. Right.
And I would love to know, wasn't there a period in our human history where that didn't exist?
Yeah.
You're saying there may be a moment when our technology started being a harm than a benefit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've noticed my sleep changed years ago when all of these EMFs started really increasing.
Mhm.
And almost all my friends talk about sleep problems.
Right.
And I think it's the EMFs. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
So everybody has to look at how they feel about that. Does anybody have any testimonials of something that has been healed or corrected in them using urine therapy?
Well, I was suffering from psoriasis on the back of my head, and I've got eczema, or I had eczema around between the eyes and the cheeks.
Mhm.
And after about 3 months, there's still a little bit there, but after about 3 months, the psoriasis, which I've had for a few years now, cleared up completely, or almost completely.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's
Were
great.
you doing any form of self-nurturing and self-love during this time when this changed around?
Yeah.
Ross, you can feel me on this one. There's a correlation because you're loving yourself with your aura. You're taking your essence, which is love. It just so happens to be a ultra-filtered blood plasma. And we know that plasma is life-giving blood, which is what first responders give victims in the ambulance. Ours is just filtered 1,000,000 times more. And so the fact that you're taking something made by you, for you, that comes through you, and you're giving it back to yourself, that's a self-love loop.
Mm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And nobody can interfere with that. Woohoo! We
Well,
have,
so can I
yeah.
ask a couple of sort of basic questions?
Please do.
All mine are sort of fairly basic, but does it make any difference if you drink urine warm or cold? Because I find if I drink it immediately, it's just somehow more difficult to swallow.
Yes, no pun intended.
And so, but when I just sort of leave it, let it go cold, I can just down it like a pint, you know.
Yeah, just leave it out in room temperature and it cools down.
Yeah, and that makes no difference whether it's warm or to the body.
No, it doesn't matter. It's the same when people say, well, if I want to put my feet in my urine and it's cold, can I add some hot water? It won't be full strength, but yeah, it'll be more like homeopathic dilution form.
Right. And
It's
the other
all-
question I had was, I read somewhere that one should not put a lid on the container you're keeping your urine in. Is that correct?
Yes and no. You're going to get used to me.
Well, unless of course you're putting it in your suitcase.
That's a whole nother thing. All right. I'm not trying to be a smart, you know what. But let's go back to principle. It alchemizes anything it touches. It's antiseptic, antibacterial, antifungal, you name it. So if anything gets in there, it'll neutralize it, alchemize it, transform it, da, 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 da. The only reason you put a lid on it, whether you use a coffee filter, whether you use a screw-on lid, is to keep flying objects out of your water. Right? If anything microscopic lands in there, I'd still use it. And then some people say, well, some people want to actually screw it on. Fine. When you're storing it, that's fine. It's not where you have to put on a cheesecloth or a silk stocking. That's up to you. It's not going to be harmed or damaged anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a testimonial.
Yes, please.
I'd say more than anything, since doing the Shivambhu, my intuitive wisdom, my intuition is stronger, both in relation to my health and in relation to my entire life. Like there's a sense of being more on track, and my intuition, both in kind of an expansive way, but even in almost like a common sense kind of way, is stronger. So it's more, it's kind of like, it's a potentiator for anything else we do in our life, if we're willing to be conscious in that area of our lives. Like, I'm sure it's possible to drink Shivambhu and be completely unconscious if that's where you're at. But if you're looking to be more awake in your life, I have found that the Shivambhu completely accentuated that. And so my choices that I'm making, both health-wise and even socially and spiritually, in every way feel more right. And if there was nothing else to it but that, it would be worth it for that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Are we calling you test user?
Yeah, you know, I'm very low tech. I don't even know how to use these machines, and it just came up like that. So sorry about that. I don't even know how to change that.
Not a problem. Do you have another name you okay with us calling you?
Sure. Yeah. I'm on Shivambhu Hut, and my name's Miankis.
Hi, Angus. Pleasure to
Yeah.
meet you.
Yeah,
So
nice to meet
there's an innate intelligence. You might have heard that term from chiropractors. There's an innate intelligence that comes in with the body. And when you clean out the toxins and you clean out the negative thoughts, then the chemistry of the brain is going to return back to homeostasis or balance again. When you have a clean, fresh body and you have a clean, fresh mind, you can access infinite intelligence, or what some people call higher self. And so you're going to approach life in a way that you hadn't before, and it'll probably be in alignment with your true nature and your way of being, and not so much the way you've been programmed by the world. It's very liberating and life-changing, this water. And you can't always describe it to people because it's in a category all into itself. It's like trying to explain love to people and they're so far away from it.
Right.
So it has the power of Shiva, which you know is the Lord of the universe. And Shivambhu itself also not only means water of Shiva, but it means blood of the Lord. So we're literally drinking blood, and please don't call us vampires. We're literally we're taking in the blood that what we're doing is we're drinking what was just blood a few hours ago. It's now medicine.
Right.
Pretty amazing. We're also dealing with plasma, which you know is the fifth state of matter: solid, liquid, gas, ether, plasma. We're also dealing with fifth dimension and fifth dimensional consciousness. So plasma itself is to come into a conversation with a lot of people these days. We drink plasma water, and there's a fifth state of matter, and there's a 5D consciousness. Lot that we can learn from.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anything else you guys want to weigh in?
Yeah, I have one more comment that I would say is one of my biggest, what I consider my biggest experiential insights about using Shivambhu that I think could be really significant in terms of wide variety of people becoming interested in this.
Mhm.
And in the most basic way, I'd say in experimenting with aged and fresh, that they both are incredible, but they're both very, very different. And I would say that like people who come to this who are, say, more into an embodied experience, like let's say athletes,
Mhm.
or people that are looking for more integration in their life.
Yoga people, yeah.
Yeah, yoga people, but even psychological, spiritual integration, that fresh urine is more, in an Ayurvedic sense, tridoshic. It's more balanced, it's more grounding.
Right.
And for people that are kind of looking for a more spiritualized, metaphysical, out there kind of thing, the aged urine seems to lead people in that direction, and that's what I notice. And of course, this is a generalization, and there's a place for both of them. But mostly what I'd say is like, for people maybe that are more mainstream and are looking just for like better vitality, more embodiment, and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
maybe focus more on the fresh. And people who are other than that experiment more with the aged.
Mhm.
And this can kind of include everybody in the water family, as you would put it.
Yes, and I would love you to write an article and send it to me, or post it at the hut or somewhere, because you've got the material.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've written one or two things to you via message on the hut, but I can expand on that. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, because your voice is important, and we need more messengers to help this cause.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So on a humorous note, my new book is coming out on 12323. It's called The Pisscabulary of Urine-isms. And so if you want to have a great icebreaker to put on the back cover over the toilet seat or on your coffee table, get the Pisscabulary so you can learn words and terms and definitions that only pee drinkers could understand. And that was designed as a bridge so that people can start looking at urine therapy in a non-controversial way, and possibly we can plant new seeds in people. And it was fun to write. So
Is the book a real pisser?
it's a real, yeah, it's a real pistol. You'll be so happy you got it. The last word that made the book came to us the day, or like hours before we went to publishing. The word is wonderful to pee. Let me write this down. This is a fun word. Wonderful to pee, as in wonderful to pee in your presence. Wonderful to pee with you. So you can see you'll have lots of time joking around and having fun with the book. Anybody have any? We're going to come to a end of our class, or our show here, whatever you want to call this, in just a minute here. It would be lovely if you guys were joining social media groups, the hut, or whatever, because the movement is the loudest on social media. There's 25 urine therapy groups on Facebook. There's 6 on Instagram. There's 3 or 4 on Telegram. There's WhatsApp from out in India. There's like 3 groups from India. They had me on as a guest speaker last year. And they had like, everybody was like in India wanting to know, who's this American guy talking about urine therapy? So there are groups all over the place that you can communicate, share ideas, and get love.
So what's the easiest way to find these groups? I'm not on WhatsApp, but I mean, how do I look at them and choose what I want to join?
Well, you can type in the search engine, like in Facebook, urine therapy.
Yeah, I don't really want to go back to Facebook much.
No problem.
So where on your website do I find all these things listed? All the links?
There might be. If you get confused, reach out to me and I'll hook you up.
Thanks.
What is your
Can you
Telegram channel? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my Telegram channel.
Oh, right.
Got it? Urine therapy
No,
does pretty good.
I didn't get it. Oh yeah, does a body good.
Yeah, there's 300 something members at the moment. And what I'm loving is people are posting content of all kinds. Some of it's research. People have been passing around the sites, the medical sites that talk about stem cells and urine therapy. A lot of people are digging deep in the internet and finding the research and the science and the evidence that the disbelievers are asking for. So we're getting validation from the community who's doing the homework.
You know, I just want to say what I love about that is if you really look into the history of this and the worldwide use of this, I think a lot of us feel like we're marginalized, but it's actually the other way around. We're actually more in the stream of human history, pun intended, than people who don't use urine. I mean, we're really following something that's deeply human to the core, and those that think urine is dirty are actually there on the margins of human consciousness historically, even.
Well, let me just send this to you guys, something to laugh about. We are the new mainstream. We are the new midstream. Oh, by the way, that whole idea about the midstream, you might have heard people talk about. They get rid of the beginning of the P. They use the midstream, and then they get rid of the end of the P. Well, in case you didn't know this came from, and you probably know this, from the Damar Tantra 5,000 years ago. And how that came about was Shiva one day was being outed by his partner Parvati. And she says, Shiva, how come you don't age? How come you're strong? You're still good looking and sexy and whatever. And he says, drink of yourself and you will live. So he lays out the 7-year program with the herbs and the vessels and everything so that you not only heal everything, but you can achieve physical immortality. Well, there's a verse in there that talks about the midstream. And they say, well, the midstream is to be used and the beginning and the end is supposed to be discarded. And then the very next verse, they tell you why it's superstition and it's tradition, because according to them, the Hindus back then, the urine, the flow represented a snake, and the head and the tail could harm you. Well, 5,000 years later, we know that every drop is sterile and precious. So a lot of things that you hear in the community, you gotta like sort it out.
And can I add to that? That was one of the comments that I loved in the beginning, because what I realized was this whole attitude of people asking, can I do this? Is that good? Is that bad? And asking for prescriptions and for rules and to be told what to do, not to do. And the freedom that comes, and that is strengthened by the power we get from actually drinking it. Like you were saying, forgotten your name, test user, you know, that it's your intuition is becoming so strong. You realize all these do's and don'ts are absolutely ridiculous. They're the opposite of sovereignty. So this is so basic and so central. So I have to stop myself. I get into this again.
You know, building on that, what I've noticed is, instead of being afraid that there's a wrong way to do Shivambhu, because there's really no wrong way to do it. You can't hurt yourself. There's nothing wrong you can do. There's just all these different right ways to do it.
Yeah, well, there is a fact, if you drink it too close to bedtime, you may not sleep all night. And people are finding it out, because some people going, I like to have it right before bedtime because of the melatonin and the sleeping ingredients. I'm going, yeah. So how many times do you get up in the night? So you have to, figure that one out.
But I've spoken to people who claim they do it right before bed and they sleep through the night. So it's amazing.
It's the same with their friends that drink coffee and they can go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and I'd be wired up for a long time. So I think it's their body, their metabolism, their composition, whatever it is.
Yeah. Brother Sage, sorry, I've just put in what you put up there. Urine therapy does a body good on Telegram, and I couldn't find it.
So is there a shortcut to it, or
Yes, I can post the link. Or you can send me, if you guys, Well, I can't flip it on this right here. Well, maybe I can. Hold on. Let's see if we can pull off a magic act here. Urine therapy does a body good. What is the invitation? Invitation. T.M. Oh no, that's too long. But just reach out to me and I'll get you guys the link. I'll leave you my email address if that's an easy way to reach me. @gmail.com. There's my email address. It's an acronym that means God is the source of my supply. Make it easy to remember him. You guys froze. What's going on? Oh my goodness.